everybody, and welcome to Salt. Today we are talking about the regrets of life and how things change when your children get older. It used to be that whatever Daddy said was wonderful and amazing. And I remember this little girl would get on chairs and look out the window waiting for me to come home. Daddy's home, Daddy. That has now transformed into, you're doing it wrong. And so I was going to play a video here at the beginning, but apparently I've been doing it wrong all these years now that I've been educated in the error of my ways. And we'll be playing the video at the end of today's Salt, as it apparently was supposed to be done all along. I'm so happy I have someone in my life to point these errors out to me now, lest I stumble in the darkness of ignorance. How fortunate I am.
Would you like to restart?
Anyway.
Do we want to go live with that?
Actually, I did put a video here, but I only did 3 minutes because I only got as far as Florida. Because it was 3 minutes and it was Florida. We only got to Alabama. So at the end of the video, you're going to see just the 3 minute thing. It's just kind of us getting to Florida and the very first town that we filmed in. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we just got back from a trip a little bit ago, filming for The Incredible Journey, an Australian TV show. We did some really interesting stories. He tells these stories about inspirational people here in America, and the first one that we did was in Florida, in Quincy, Florida. Freddie Figures, and he's a guy who was a baby who was left in a dumpster and was found and raised by obviously foster parents, and he grew up to be this inventor, and he's got his own company now and everything. But he started out as being abandoned as a child and left in a dumpster. And that was one of the stories, and that was in Quincy, Florida. And so some of that we did, as we do the other states and stuff, I'll tell you more. But there's 5 interesting stories we did. And if you want to hear, they're not going to be on for 9 months or so, I guess it takes.
Something like that, yeah.
But anyway, that was apparently the video we'll be showing at the end. But we kind of missed the state line crossings. I got Mississippi, I think, and Florida, but I missed crossing into Alabama. I don't know that Alabama had a big "Welcome to Alabama" sign. Florida and Mississippi did. We did get the USS Alabama battleship that was there, right at the front, and then some of the coastline we saw on the bridges and stuff. I did leave out the stuck in traffic on the bridge. I was going to put that in and go, look, traffic, we love it. But I left that out. And there's some fancy camera work by Miranda shooting out the window in places. And yes.
Yes, well, Brett can count on me for that.
Yeah.
Which button do I turn on?
Yeah.
Which one does the video?
Which one was asked? When was it asked when you were saying it's the red one? Push the red one, or
I've heard that so many times.
Yeah.
The red one. No, if it's square, it's recording.
Yeah.
If it's a circle, it's not. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yes. Anyway.
Well, they wait so long between times they ask me to do it again that I've forgotten entirely which one's video versus.
No. Well, it's going to be a while before we hit the road again. I think we may do another one in February, but
Yeah.
who knows. So anyway, on to today's topic. It kind of mirrors Sabbath school, I guess.
Yeah, since we teach Sabbath school next Sabbath, I was going over it this week, and a couple things caught my eye at the very beginning. So.
And I think it's the 10 Commandments and.
Yeah, it's called the Covenant, I think, but yeah, it's about the 10 Commandments and such. Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Miranda Hatley on the 10 Commandments.
Okay, well, I found it interesting that they said that, okay, so the Ten Commandments are found in Exodus 20 and Deuteronomy chapter 5. And so it says in neither book in Hebrew uses the term Ten Commandments. Instead, it is called, 3 times, is called the 10 words. And in the Hebrew, the word translates to mean word, sentence, matter, saying, speech, story, promise, and utterance. And 2 of those words really caught my attention, and that was story and promise. And I thought, how would the Ten Commandments be a story to you or anybody else? And I thought, you know what? It's a story of our relationship with God, because it is, one, who God is. It also is who He wants us to be. And so that's that story of a relationship. And the relationship happens because basically taking that word promise, let's say the Ten Commandments are a promise, because God's words, His commands to us, if you will, they have the power to promise to help us do that. And that's because, of course, in the parable of the sower, it's an example of how that is because the seeds are the words, and seeds, we cannot make a seed, or we cannot put the life into the seed. It's already there. And then it gets watered and such, and it grows. But it's not us who does that. So, you're not helping me.
Oh, am I a part of this?
So, okay. I'm going to move on to one more thing here. It's also like the story of when Jesus healed the blind man. And so, Jesus was the one, of course, who he turned spit on the dirt and turned it into a mud and put it on the man's eyes, and then he tells him to go wash it off in the pool of Siloam. And so he goes ahead and he does that, right? And now all of a sudden when he washes it off, he can see. And yet he knows it's not him that did it. Even though he did what Jesus told him to do, it wasn't him that did it. It wasn't the mud paste that did it. It wasn't the water in the pool of Siloam that did it. He knew that it was the power of Jesus and God who did that for him. It was nothing that he had done for himself.
Why do you think he did that? Because Jesus healed another blind man without doing that. He just, you can see, the man saw. And this one he made do this, and...
It's true. Well, on one hand, he did do it on Sabbath. I don't know why obviously we don't know why he would have, but when Jesus and his disciples first saw the man, the disciples were like, well, who sinned, him or his parents? Because that was obviously a popular belief back then, because the man had been born blind, and he's like, neither of them. He was born to display the power of God. And I thought that was kind of interesting.
And you're saying this one was on Sabbath?
Yes, which of course caused a big stink with the Pharisees. And
because? Why did it cause a big stink with the Pharisees?
Well, because he was healing on the Sabbath. Work, I suppose.
And just to see if they actually covered this, Aspen took Teachings of Jesus in college last year. Aspen, did they cover this in Teachings of Jesus? Why did Jesus make paste, mud pies, and put it on the guy's face and just saying, you can see? No? Gaspy gads. Even my freshman TJ, we talked about it. Obviously, you don't know. But because it was Sabbath, it was another one of those, possibly, it was another one of those lessons of Jesus was working on the Sabbath when he made the mud things for his eyes. And that was another kind of, thing to the Pharisees. That, like, they would have been aghast. You're working, you're making something, you're working on the Sabbath. And Jesus was, this is the work of, God. This is the thing you do on the Sabbath. This is, kind of challenging their perspective of, their rules and what you can and can't do on the Sabbath and the breaking thing. One thing. That was one theory. Another was also that, it was something the guy did as he needed a step of faith. He needed to be able to, like Naaman, go dip in the river. It wasn't the river the 7 times. It was, will you do this? And same thing for the blind man. The thing I liked about what you said with the 10 Commandments stuff was what is the general perspective of the 10 Commandments? And people look at the 10 Commandments generally as okay, here are the rules. Here are the things you do.
Things you need to do in order to go to heaven, basically.
Right, yes. Yeah. And this is, don't break these or lightning will strike you, And yet, it's a story. It's the 10 words. It's it's like you're saying, it's the story of your relationship with God. It's not the, hard and fast, stay behind this line or I will zap you. It's,
Yeah, and it's the walking with Jesus on a daily basis. And some days we're going to live out his words, and other days is going to be a big fail. And yet this is our relationship with Jesus, because he never leaves us. He's always there to continue. We come back and we say we're sorry, and he's like, oh, let's go. Yeah. Let's just keep on going. And that's our relationship, because it doesn't always work that way, say, in real life with real people around us. You mess up too many times or some such thing, and who knows what happens, whatever it might be. It generally tends to break down a relationship. When we're willing to keep going back to God, it does nothing but continue to increase our relationship with him.
And that everything's relationship. So if anything about God is relationship, even the 10 Commandments, that has to be about relationship as well. So I thought that was good. Anyway.
Yeah, because not only, they say it's the first 5 are 4 are the relationship with God, and the last 6 are about relationship with our fellow man. But even to be able to live out that good relationship with our fellow man, we have to have God's help to do that.
Yep, and that's as everyone knows, you just broke down the 10 Commandments and do love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. So, yeah. See, I helped. I contributed.
You did contribute, yes.
Yay me.
Yay you.
What else?
Oh, okay. So are we going to go ahead and do the part about Abraham and the covenant then?
Sure.
Okay. Well, that is your part.
Oh, okay. Well, make the connection, then I'll tell the story, I guess.
Oh, it's basically what God does for us. And how we do nothing. He's the one who does all for us.
Right. So the 10 Commandments in the Old Testament, covenant, contract, relationship, it's the, the contract God made, makes with us. And then the Old Testament, you'll find that Abraham, all right, how do I do this in 2 minutes or less? In the Old Testament, cutting a covenant was a very serious thing, and it's what 2 people did, like when they came together, 2 kings, 2 very rich people, 2 very powerful people, to something would come together, and they would cut this covenant. It was this way of bringing their 2 entities together, their 2 families, their 2 kingdoms, their 2 tribes, their 2 something, right? And it was a very serious thing where they would do these animal sacrifices, and it was a whole ritual they would do, where they would swap swords, swap coats, swap belts, cut each other, and swap blood, and then they would walk in and out of these animals, and they would say certain words about, if I ever break this covenant, then, may me and my children and the rest of my heritage that have never been born. It was a very serious thing. And so this was done between 2 men, right? And so Abraham was hearing from God all the time, I'm going to make you a great nation, you're going to be the father of many children, and yet he had no children. And at one point, Abraham was like, how do I know this is going to actually happen? You keep saying this, but I'm 90-something years old. I don't know what it was at the time, but he was old, and Sarah was old, and it's like, just doesn't seem like this is even feasible anymore, and yet you keep saying this. And so God said, get these animals, cut them in half, and he laid them out, and Abraham would have recognized this is cutting a covenant. And he did it, and what God told him to do, and then God, put him in a vision or sleep and gave him a vision. And in the vision, God himself walked the sacrificed animals and, made the covenant with Abraham that I am going to do this for you, and if I don't, may I never have been, the same kind of thing. So he really came down to Abraham's level and cut this covenant with Abraham, that made it, God had to, totally keep up his end of the bargain. The thing that was different was that God was the only one that did it. In the regular covenant, they both do it. In this one, God did everything. He did the walking. He did the covenant, and Abraham didn't do anything. So it was, in essence, I'm doing all this. All you have to do is accept. God was doing everything in that covenant he made with Abraham, and Abraham literally brought nothing to the table. Basically.
Right, basically. And basically, if you're going to make a contract with someone, like say when we bought our car,
Yeah.
I mean, they would sign it to the fact that they're selling you this car, blah, blah, blah. That's their part of it. And then you, of course, sign it that you're paying for it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
this was God saying, I'm going to do all this stuff. I'm giving this to you. And Abraham
Had nothing. Yeah.
had nothing. He was not signing it in order to pay for it.
In a covenant cutting, there was usually the reason it was done was there was a sharing of resources. They made each other stronger by bringing to the table what each one of them had. So they were stronger together than they were separate. But in this one, yeah, God was like, I got everything, and I'm going to do this for you and give this to you. And it's very one-sided.
Yeah, and that's basically the promises within the 10 Commandments, that they are what he does for us because we have no power to do it on our own.
Yeah. So a different way to look at God's commandments is like a relationship with him and a bringing together and I'm going to bring you into this relationship and all the things I'm going to do for you.
It's the story and the promise and the words of God.
And when Miranda first brought this up, I thought it meant, oh, what's a story you have with one of the commandments? Because, you look back in your life and you think, oh, there's this particular commandment where I really saw played out somehow in some experience of my life. I thought that's what you meant. But that's a different way to, kind of look at the 10 Commandments and think back, where in my life has this commandment really, had an impact on my life or some experience in my life that I, But anyway. All right, so as promised, that was all for today, and that's about 3 minutes long, but it's a short little video on a little bit of what our last trip was and where we went and some of the things we saw. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time, and here's our, last trip we made video.